Thomas gets onto it. Thomas is uploaded the biggest.
Here he is, Daisy Thomas.
Daisy.
Welcome to the studio.
Yes, thank you very much.
to
Happy
see
Monday,
you.
one and all.
Lovely to see you, mate.
Great to see me.
Haven't seen you. Did you gather round?
I did gather round. I only went over on the Sunday.
Right.
Which was probably a good thing because it was like a war zone when I walked in.
I heard it was.
Jeez, did the entirety of the AFL get pissed on that weekend?
Oh my God, they must have spent some money in
Full
bars.
bend around.
Yeah.
And
They
you
will
had good
love it.
seats for the Saints game too.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
just there for pleasure.
So they weren't actually our allocated seats. We just walked out. We had the AFL function downstairs and we had seats above the function, but we looked out and we saw that Gill and all the bigwigs had just got these nice little glassed off areas.
Bang.
And there was a couple free.
I'll have a bit of
So I
that.
had a little wink to the Triple M boys. I said, we'll go one next door. We'll leave a gap
Yeah.
just in case they have extras.
Yeah.
And we'll just waltz in. I'll have my accreditation on and we'll sit down like we own the joint.
And it worked.
Well, by quarter time, we were clicking for beers.
Oh, yeah.
Just really got on the AFL junket.
I love that.
So we think, Gil.
Out of the round, week 8 of 24, the booing of Lance Franklin. John Longmire said, I don't know why they would. Why were they booing him? You'd probably celebrate a 36-year-old, wouldn't you, who's been a champion of the game?
You would think so.
What's going on?
I don't really know.
It can't be Adam Goods style, can it?
You'd hope not. You would certainly hope not. Again, and under the Adam Goods situation, everyone then came out and said, we're doing it because he's good. There's nothing to do with race, which is
okay.
Yeah.
a bit of a long bow and an easy out. I don't understand it really.
Well, William reminded us that it was
Yeah, it was
the same.
the first time Sydney have played Collingwood at the MCG for a home and away game since the Adam Goods pointing
Right.
to the 13-year-old girl incident.
Well,
Surely to
again,
God, no one
surely
would
not.
remember that.
Surely not. Surely they are booing him because
Yeah.
he is too good and has been good for a long time. But even then, why are you booing him?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
It
Plenty
doesn't
of good
make any
players.
sense.
There's plenty of good players.
And was it just a pocket of booing, or was it?
No, it was
pretty loud.
It was a fair chorus.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Thankfully, Craig McRae continues to come out and say we don't boo as a household because I thought that there was, until this point, the Pies fans have been really good at sort of evolving and adapting.
Yeah.
Anzac Day,
Yeah.
when we thanked the Bombers, the captain and whatnot after the
Yeah,
win,
yeah.
there was no booing, just celebration. So,
I think under Craig McRae, they've become a totally different football
Yeah.
team.
so.
Let's hope
Fingers
that,
crossed that
yeah,
doesn't happen because that's no good. That's not good for the game. That
Yeah.
doesn't make your side any better, and it reflects poorly on everyone.
It really does, and it's a shame. Jacob Van Ruin suspension. He's got 2 weeks for a spoil attempt on Charlie Ballard from the Gold Coast. Ballard, unfortunately, went off on a stretcher. He was eventually cleared of concussion or a neck injury. Thoughts, Daisy?
Well, so the issue was originally that people thought he went off with concussion. So obviously the strike then becomes a higher elevation because of the contact made. He came off with precautionary neck issues because he thought he heard a crack. So there's no concussion. Thought he'd hurt his neck. I think the kid gets off.
You think he gets off
And I think-
entirely scot-free?
Yeah, and I think he should for a few reasons. One, it wasn't a careless motion. He's not swinging an arm trying to cause any sort of damage.
Yeah, it wasn't a roundhouse.
And the argument that he looked at the ball and then looked back at the player, it's fine because if you've got a player sitting under a high ball, you don't need to look where the ball is. You can judge where the ball is going to land by that person's eyes and their hands.
Yeah.
If they're looking there and their hands are there, the ball's probably going to fall there.
It's never a good one, though, is it, when they take their eyes off the ball?
I think that this could be used as or sort of to help him out in his favour because if he wanted to actually go through and absolutely mix the guy, if you're looking at him, you're going to get him with your chest, you're going to get him with your fist and your body.
Yep.
He just clips him with the inside of a bicep as he's swiping to get
So
the ball.
perhaps by looking at the guy, he's actually tried not to have that
Correct.
heavier
Yeah,
contact.
well, the argument would be if he wanted to hit him, he knew exactly where he was with his whole body and wipe him out. So
Right.
I think he gets off, and I'd be shocked if he didn't after what we saw with Tom Lynch, where they offered him 3 and he ended up getting off for what was arguably a non-footballing act.
Kane Cornes has been criticised over the weekend.
Jeez, has he ever?
For Tim Taranto comments, Cornes said Taranto didn't influence games and wasn't in the top 150 players in the game. Damien Hardwick, post-game on Saturday, said, I know Kane really well and you guys know how the media work. He doesn't generally believe that comment, but what he does is he says it to get clicks and that's how the media works. Surprise. Cornes, on the Sunday Footy Show, said, I've never said anything for the sake of it. I've never said anything to get a click. I don't get paid per click. I couldn't care less if you click or not.
Are we allowed to call BS on that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Say whatever you like.
100%. He doesn't believe every statement that he says. You can't be that passionate about everything and make such sensationalised comments But the thing is,
He's got a touch of the Carrows about him.
it gets
doesn't
us talking.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
arguably we're playing right into his game at the minute.
he? He's got a touch of the Carrows about him. He doesn't seem to like football.
Yeah,
and he seems to be permanently unhappy.
I don't have the same issue with Caro that you do, but I am starting to get one with Kane. I got a bit riled up yesterday because there's no need to come out and attack a player
No.
and say he's not in the top 150. He clearly is. So all you do is damage your own credibility by coming out and saying those things.
But you don't need to say that
But
that
if
way
you-
anyway.
if you've
You
got
don't
an-
need to say that somebody's not in the top 150. There are other ways to say you've got a lower opinion of the guy's talent.
But even his talent, you can't really question about what you've seen this year. Yes, he hasn't kicked the ball fantastic, but
Yeah.
that's arguably not his job in terms of he's been brought into that side to fix the mix of going in, hunting the ball in the midfield, getting it out to the better users, or getting it and hacking it forward. He's never going to be your outside polished Scotty Pendlebury sort of Rolls-Royce type.
North Melbourne, St Kilda will get there, one of the classics. But
Stay in the car.
stay in the car. You won't believe how tight it was, particularly the first half. Carlton Brisbane kicked the round off. Brisbane got up. Where was that? Was that
That was
Marvel?
at Marvel Stadium. So Brisbane were good, really got their season on track now, which is fantastic for the Blues. Some concerns and issues with them.
Oh, really? Is that what we're saying now?
That's what we're saying. We're alert, not alarmed.
Okay, good.
So 3.5 wins to this point in the season, just not really getting their offense going. They've obviously got 2 Coleman medalists in the forward 50, but they move the ball so slowly and pedestrian-like that it doesn't matter who you got down there. It just comes in and it's just bouncing back
What do you
out.
reckon Vossi's doing down there? What would he be saying?
I think he's going to simplify things for them. They seem a little bit disjointed at the minute. Not a whole lot of cohesion in offense. So I think when they got 40-odd points down, they just went and played played quite aggressively, and they got back into the game. So I think they can take some learnings from that. And going forward, expect them to play with some more pace on the ball.
When you've got a coach like a Voss, I mean, you'd sit up and listen, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
I mean, the CV is just outstanding.
Well, you're meant
Does
to
it-
listen to all coaches,
But
but
does it change?
I've proved throughout time that ain't always the case.
That's where I was
And
heading.
I apologise to Mr. Bolton for that.
If you have an elite midfielder as your coach versus a bloke who's come up through the ranks, through the VFL, or teen footy.
The whole point of having a coach is to motivate you to get out there and do your job to the best of your abilities and to execute their game plan. So they're the ones who've come up with it. They have to sell you the dream, and then you have to buy in and go and execute it. We see at the Pies, one team, one dream. One dream, one team. You say it however you want. That's what they're doing. At the minute, I'm not quite sure the Blues are on that same page yet.
All right.
I think they can be, though. As I said, alert, not alarmed.
Richmond got over West Coast, as
They
you would
did.
hope.
Yeah, that was one of the worst first halves you're ever likely to see, only surpassed by what we saw yesterday. So Richmond
And
got
which
off
one
the-
was yesterday? What are you referring to?
the game between
Clarkson and Lyon.
yeah, that was it. Yeah, no, a couple of super coaches really just putting out soccer scores to half time.
Chess game.
I wonder what Clarkson's thinking in his sort of private thoughts. Is he thinking, what am I going to do? with
It's it,
this
yeah.
group?
Well, I don't think it's overly surprising to see North playing like this.
Oh, I think it is. This is the 4th year of it now.
But the list, just because you get a better coach doesn't mean your list is going to change. And I know St Kilda is probably the exception at the minute because their list has been hit with some serious injuries and they're producing some good football. But North at the minute, I'm still not sure.
No.
Clarkson's going to do good things for them going forward because they're trying
Absolutely.
to still learn a different game style and they are trying to play more defensive, which is working because the Saints weren't able to score. Unfortunately for them, they weren't able to score also. And at some point, you need to hit the scoreboard because 4 goals, 10 ain't going to win you many games.
No, it's not. Geelong, Adelaide.
So Paddy Dangermouse goes out in that one.
Yeah, I know, hamstring.
which is going to be a
Bit of a
decent
history
out
for him.
Yeah, he's getting older too. So cold day down at Geelong, not really surprising.
He was playing well too.
He's got back into form. He was another one that everyone came for, and by everyone I mean Kane.
The frustrated fireman.
Yeah, well that's it. And you come for champions, they're going to turn it around eventually.
Of course.
This is why
They're
you know,
quality players, and he's a quality person.
This is
by
why
all
you
reports.
scratch your head at some point and go, do we actually believe that we want to be writing them off and saying, oh, is it closer to the end? Why are we the first one to try and jump on something rather than say,
Yeah.
give it a month and if he hasn't turned around, then we'll have the chat. Whereas everyone at the minute, you play one bad game and you're out the door. So lucky I'm still not playing.
Gold Coast, Melbourne. That looks like it was a tight one.
That was a really good game. The Gold Coast Suns have improved, which is good because 3 rounds in again, when we're all looking for someone to sack, Stewie Jew was the number one man on the chopping block at that point. But they're, albeit an honourable loss, and that isn't good enough, and they won't be playing finals this year, the Gold Coast Suns, you wouldn't imagine.
No.
But to run Melbourne, who are a quality side, to 5 points, and they had their opportunities to win it, some ill-discipline late hurt them. I think we can probably relax a little bit on the Gold Coast. The discussion becomes, is an also run again good enough? Does a circuit breaker come? Do they need to get someone else in?
I don't know what they need to do.
I
They've
like
had
Stewie Jew.
they've had every concession you could ever give a football club, ever, in the
Yes.
history of all football clubs over all of time.
It's factual.
Freo Hawthorn.
It's aggressive, but it's factual.
Freo.
You got a real bee in your bonnet today, don't you?
I've got a bagel in my bonnet. I'm feeling very heavy. Freo thumped Hawthorn.
That's not a metaphor.
GWS lost to the Bulldogs in what looks like it might have been a close game.
Toby Green didn't play. That's the reason why the GWS Giants lost.
Okay.
He was an out.
Port and Essendon, tight one.
Essendon become interesting because they are going okay. They started the season really well,
Yeah, they
surprised
did.
a few people, and their last 3 losses against pretty good opposition have been honourable. Again, not good enough, and honourable losses don't get you into the finals, but they knocked off Melbourne. They run the Pies really close, and of course now Port Adelaide. They're actually going along all right, the Bombers.
Yeah, they are. Collingwood, Sydney, we touched on with Buddy Franklin, but Collingwood just seemed like they're going from strength to strength.
And they've just got belief at the minute. They just find a way to wear you down and then get on top. So the Brody Myercheck goal was a ripper. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It'll be unfortunate that he wins second prize this year in goal of the year.
Behind the kid from Brisbane.
Will Ashcroft.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That was one of the greater goals you'll ever see.
So 8 rounds in now, off the body of work, who is your clubhouse leader? Who do you think's best team?
I would nearly go as far as saying there's 4 teams that can win it right now.
Oh, yeah. Who?
So you got the D's, you got the Pies, you've got the Cats, and you have the Lions.
Right, okay.
I think right now, if the
One of those four.
finals were to go ahead, I think it'd be one of those 4.
You couldn't squeeze North in?
I tried my best, but 4
You
goals.
mustn't have seen the first half yesterday.
Yeah, unfortunately, the 7 points really didn't get me to go back and watch it.
But we don't know if they weren't asked to kick 7 points.
Well, this could
that
be
the
the thing.
plan?
This could be a
Mate, that
tactic.
Could have.
Well,
How
if
do
you-
we
if
know
you-
Clarko didn't say, see if you can kick 7 points?
Well, and it's smart because if you kick a goal that goes back to the middle and then the team
And
only
then
has to go
they're
half the
in
ground.
trouble.
If you miss, they have to transition at the full length. So
Lock
they,
it in.
they might have been going 7-point play style.
Yeah.
So instead of just kicking
4-10,
the 6,
34. I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds bad.
and when you get one of your players who kicks 3 as well.
Well, Daisy, it's always lovely. You're a
On that
champion.
note, I might leave before I'm asked to leave. You enjoy Succession. I've been
I
Daisy,
will.
you've been all right.
I will.